Hello fellow YouTubers, and today's Wednesday, September 12, and it's been a pretty warm day. In fact, it's been, oh, I got a sore back. It's been a pretty warm day indeed. We had a warm northwesterly coming in later this morning, early afternoon, and then it's shifted around in the northeast, came a sea breeze, very nice. But it started to cool down now. I think it was about 25, 27, something like that. I think now it's 20 degrees and it's still dropping. Well, I didn't do any little jobs around the house today. Because I'd done them all yesterday. And but we went shopping. My wife wanted to go into town, but since my banking, my credit union moved location, which is not convenient for me, I prefer to go out to the plaza because there's an ATM there and there's no fee because it's a credit union ATM and it's a lot easier. It was alright for the woman in the credit union office, the new office, to say, oh, just go and park around the corner. Yeah, if you can get a parking spot, but you invariably can't. And there's a multi-storey parking area for Kmart in the mall, but nah, not for me. It's not convenient at all. Anyhow, never mind. So we went out to the plaza. We had to go to Woolies, of course, we had to do some shopping in the supermarket, but that was okay. It went pretty good actually, except when we were checking out. There was not many checkout operators working, so we had to wait a little bit. And my wife was after one of those pickup things, you know, the garbage pickup things on the trigger, the long things that yeah, I think you know what I mean. But yeah, there wasn't any in Woolworths, so we went, as we were going near the reject shop, she went in there and I waited outside with the trolley, with the groceries, and she was only a few minutes when she, but just before she came out I noticed to my right something that took my eye. I had to have a look, so I waited until my wife came back to the trolley, then I went and had a look. And it was this. Woohoo! Oh! Yeah, it's not bad, eh? Magnavox record player. It's a portable electric, got a built-in, well, I'll tell you everything. I shot another video, and you can have a look at that. Yeah, pretty cool, isn't it? I mean, it's very neatly packaged. Nice little unit. It's got, well, at the moment, the little green light there. It's charging because it's got a built-in battery. That's supposed to be able to run for a few hours. And you can put in a USB and record what you're playing. And then you can stick it into your computer and upload the file. Headphones and, oh yeah, it's and you can do other things as well. So yeah, $59 it was, but we had a card with the store because our son works for the reject shop, and I got close to 20% off. It cost me $50.15. So yes, it was just what I wanted. So now, because I did say in the video that it plays 33, 45 and 78. So well, if I didn't, I'm saying it now. So I think my sister's got my my father's old 78 records, and I might have to get in contact with her and get her to send a few up. She's got original Al Jolson. Well, my father had Al Jolson, and Life Gets Tedious, don't it? And Alice in Wonderland, and all sorts of them. Donkey Serenade, there's a song in the air, but the fair senorita doctor doesn't seem to care for the song in the... That's a donkey serenade. I know. Don't give up my day job. Yeah, so I'll see about that. And well, that's about it. That's about all I've got to tell you. Although I could go on about any number of things, but I won't. But I will do a reading for you. A short reading. I said in yesterday's upload that there were two things. I'm not sure what I said now, so I won't worry about it. Anyhow, this following the humiliation about the word root, there was the reprimand. There wasn't a week that went past when David wouldn't ask me if I wanted to ride double with him on his bike for the short return trip to my home after school. And on each occasion, I had resisted temptation and said no. I wanted to. What kid wouldn't want to ride with his friend? But Mum had laid down the law that I must always accompany my brother, and that was it, full stop. But on this particular afternoon in '58, I thought, why not? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. And besides, Richard was older now. And he did have Wendy to keep him company. So what harm could it do? Big mistake. Where's your brother and sister? Mum asked from the kitchen as I sat at the dining room table. Still coming. What do you mean? Still coming. Still walking home from school. How come you're not with them? David doubled me home on his bike. Did he? There was a certain degree of consternation in her voice. Uh-huh. George? Now there was angst. Yes, Mum? How dare you do something like that? She blurted out, glaring at me. One hand on her hip, the other clutching a wooden spoon she'd been using to blend a cake. Why, I've got a mind to wrap this spoon around your legs. Matter of fact, I think I will. No, Mum, no, I cried out as I ejected myself from the chair heading for the front door. Stop right where you are, George, she yelled. When you walk to school with your brother and sister, she continued, standing in the dining room doorway pointing the spoon at me. You walk home with them. Do you understand? Yes, Mum, I whimpered. Now get outside and see where they are. Mum! Do it! Or I swear to God you won't be able to sit down for a week. That was the first and last time David would double me home from school. For it seemed I still was. Not only my brother's keeper, but my sister's as well. At least as far as Mum was concerned. Well, that's a short read. That's what I said I was going to do, a short read. But I suppose that's not good enough. Just to pick something else out. But you know, I've been thinking, thinking that I might get stuck into absolutely rewriting Simple Things and publish it. Put it on Amazon anyhow, you know. See if I can design a cover for it. I might see how things go, because I think it's a pretty good story. It just needs to be revised. Yes. When television came to us. Yes. That happened at just prior to Christmas of 1958. And it not only made us feel good for longer, but it changed our lives forever. It did. All but gone would be afternoon, playing outdoors, Monday through to Friday after school, and my regular wanderings over to David's house. Such was the impact of television on our lives. From the very first afternoon, we three seated ourselves in front of that flickering screen. My brother, sister and I were hooked. All kids were. And why wouldn't we be? Both commercial stations didn't commence glorious black and white transmission until the afternoon. Went off air around 9 each night too. And without exception, all the plethora of half-hour shows were directly aimed at children. Nighttime television was different. So much so that, except for the news, Sea Hunt and the Honeymooners, Bang Zoom to the Moon, I have, for those early years at least, but little memory of it all. So too the weekends, which was a good thing, stopped us from becoming die-hard couch potatoes and got all outdoors the way it used to be. Oh yes. But afternoon television throughout the week, I remember well. Is this too close? Often having us rushing home after school to watch the next episodes of the all-exclusively American shows we just couldn't get enough of. Shows like Jet Jackson, Jungle Jim, Circus Boy, Fury, Rin-tin-tin, Tales of the Bengal Lancers, Cannonball, Whirlybirds, National Velvet, Lassie, Casey Jones, My Friend Flicker, Annie Oakley, The Cisco, Kid Adventures of the Lone Ranger, Kit Carson, and all. It went on. All were totally uneducational. Of course, without sex and nudity and swearing, occasional very moderate violence, but always simple, easy to watch, and so very, very entertaining. Then there were the two shows that led us kids to believe, and we did, that what we were viewing was atypical for all American families who lived in the suburbs. Leave It to Beaver and Father Knows Best. The Cleavers and the Andersons were the epitome of virtuous, wholesome, close-knit family life. They gave us a look into the world, the American dream and ideologies, long before the equally virtuous and wholesome family lives of the Nelsons and the Brady Bunch came into our lives to give us another dose of the American dream and ideologies. Yes, life was indeed good for the Cleavers and the Andersons in the good old US of A. In the late 50s and early 60s, right down to the one thing above all else that drew my attention like a moth to a flame, had me green with envy and had me asking, how come? How come the refrigerator in both homes were always chock-a-block, full of all things delicious? Ours wasn't. Except at Christmas time, our refrigerator is mostly filled with cold air. Yet there was never an episode when the Beaver and his brother Wally, or the son Bud from Father Knows Best, didn't stand in front of their open door refrigerator trying to make up their minds what to select. From what seemed an endless variety of things to select from. How I wish at times I was the Beaver, or Wally, or Bud. But there was one show. The only show that glued me to the television screen like no other. You know it's coming, don't you? You know it, don't you? Yeah, wait for it. The Adventures of Superman. Not since seeing Lost Planet, Airmen and Forbidden Planet in the cinema had I been transported in the world of science fiction and special effects like it was with the one and only superhero of all time, as far as I was then and still am concerned. Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to lift tall buildings with a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's Superman. Yes, it's Superman. Strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, who could change the course of mighty rivers, bend steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for the great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way. To be able to see and hear what before I had only listened to on radio. The man is still flying through the air and doing all the amazing things only he could do, was always an eye-bulging, pulse-racing, edge of my seat or rock steady sitting on the floor, incredible, not to be missed experience. But Superman wasn't just a wonderful viewing experience, but also an experience that fired up the imaginations of countless prepubescent boys. Most of which, like me, wanted to be Superman and to be able to fly. Well, a few actually thought they were and could, hurling themselves off the roof of the family home wearing a makeshift cape, only to find when they impacted with the ground, they weren't and couldn't. 2 died, if memory serves me right. 2, oh yes, all because of a television show. Tragic but true. Yes, tragic but true. All thought we could fly, but we didn't. We might have run around, well, we did run around with capes on and what have you, but we never got onto the roof and jumped up because we thought we could actually fly. Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. It's it's getting on a bit. I've got a mug of tea here, but nothing unusual about that for me, is there? And I am going to sip on my mug of tea and maybe have a bicky or two and just relax. So I want to thank you for watching, and until next time, bye for now. You know, I got a feeling there was something else I wanted to say, but I cannot for the life of me remember what it was. No, I can't. Oh, don't run. Forget about it.